Alright, hello citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel once again, and this is going to be another movie review. So, we continue our look at Christmas movies for December month and the holiday season, of course. And last year, around this time, we looked at Home Alone, on the story of a young boy, Kevin McCallister, who left home by accident and while his family went on vacation. But wouldn't you know it, it happened again. So it's time to review its sequel, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, and answer the question, is it as good as the original? Does it hold up as well as the original? Let's find out. So, as always, I'm not professional movie reviewer, analyst, or anything like that, just may just good time, and I had a good time for the most part with this movie. Some stuff that I think it did really well. Even probably one or two things that I'd argue maybe it did a little bit better than the first movie, but otherwise, the comparisons between this and the first movie are there for better and or for worse. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So, for those of you who've seen these reviews of mine before, you kind of already know how this works. If you haven't, let me talk about what I liked and disliked about this movie, as well as a quick plot summary, of course. So pretty much, plot entails, as I mentioned in my intro there, it happened again. Kevin was left home alone once again, and so how the movie pretty much starts, it pretty much starts almost, if not the exact same as it did last year. That being Kevin being at odds with his family. Buzz being a jerk, being that jerky older brother, or pranks Kevin while they're singing in their I believe a school Christmas pageant, and at least according to the wiki here. Pranking Kevin, and Kevin retaliates by shoving Buzz, which caused everybody on the stage to fall. Sure, but nevertheless, so Kevin's in trouble once again, and his family is supposed to be going on vacation to Florida, but Kevin doesn't want to go to Florida, and especially because there's no Christmas trees there. So he says he wants to go on vacation alone. Pretty much like I said, pretty much how the first movie starts off, and it's funny because they reference what happened last year. His mother says, "You got what you wanted last year. Maybe you'll get it again this year," and yeah, pretty much a sign of what's to happen. And so, if anything, I blame the mom, because she essentially jinxed it for herself and her family, at least in terms of the storyline. Same thing happens as it did last year once again. This time, not a power outage, but more so, Father Peter, and I might interchange between Peter and Kate and Kevin's mother and father, because obviously that's their name. But yeah, anyway, so Kevin's dad had unplugged the alarm clock by mistake, and that leads to them oversleeping like they did last year. Although last year was a power outage, this year was them unplugging the clock and everything. Wow. It almost seems like it was deliberate this year, but nevertheless, they oversleep, they all get ready, get dressed, and stuff like that. At this time, Kevin is in the band. They don't do the head count like they did last year, which is what caused Kevin to be left alone in the first place. But Kevin is in the car, and this time they make it all the way to the airport. Kevin has his dad's bag, which has all like the cash and stuff like that, and Peter, of course, is definitely loaded, and that's been kind of the running joke / like point of discussion, is what did his father do exactly. It's been debated. Some say he's a lawyer, some say he's making his money through nefarious means, but however, he's definitely loaded. But they go through the airport. They accidentally get separated as Kevin's trying to get batteries for his tape recorder. He has like a voice recorder, and that definitely will come back into the story later on. So they accidentally get separated at the airport. Kevin's family all get to Florida. Kevin accidentally gets on the flight to New York, again, that being New York City. So the planes take off, and Kevin can't hear the flight. Because he has his headphones in, and they don't check his boarding pass because A, he says his family's on the plane, because obviously, he thought he was at the right gate, but also because the plane's about to take off. Now, granted, I know this was a different time. This movie came out in 1992, so yeah, different time, but that probably would not fly today. No pun intended. But I remember when when I'm plane, and they checked their, like, gave them boarding pass, boarding tickets, stuff like that. I checked my ID and everything, and then let them on the plane. Like, there's no way. And the plane was pretty close to taking off nevertheless. I think it was about 10 minutes or so before takeoff. Admittedly, we did get there kind of late, but that's only because we went through. But that's a story for another time anyway. But yeah, so they checked things thoroughly, and like I said, different time. The incident that happened on September 1st, not September 1st, September 11th of 2001 hadn't happened yet, but yeah, that would not fly today. Hey, again, no pun intended, but like I said, different time, and it's fictional, so I can't really harp on it too much, just kind of something to point out. But yep, Kevin winds up in New York. His family, he winds up in Florida, and Kevin realized he can't find his dad, and he thought he was going with his dad because his dad, the person that he ended up following after he got separated from his family, had the same exact coat as his dad. What are the odds? Although I know some people do have same clothing all the time, but nevertheless, so Kevin winds up in New York, his family winds up in Florida. They realize he's not there, so they go file a police report and try to figure out where he is, and they're weighing on Kevin to use his dad's credit card in order to trace where he may be. Meanwhile, Kevin, winds up in New York, decides to go to the Plaza Hotel. Goes around the city and everything, but also checks in the Plaza Hotel, which they alluded to when Kevin was watching. I believe it was Price is Right that he was watching earlier on in the movie, where they were showing off the hotel. Kevin checks in there, and I do like. Well, actually, we'll get into it. But so Kevin uses his dad's credit card, or gets to the hotel. Tells him that his dad's already gone for the day, and tells him to check in, and checks in on his own. And so Kevin goes up to the hotel. Stays there. But we also see that the formerly Wet Bandits, Harry and Marv, are in New York. And they're now being known as the Sticky Bandits. Just, stealing stuff outright in the middle of the day. And that's going to be like a running gag throughout the movie, is them just randomly stealing stuff, especially Marv, who's got like a handful of tape and everything. And now, I made the joke, I believe I made the joke in my first video about Joe Pesci also doing Goodfellas and wondering which one he signed up first. But this one, unless he had any other movies that year, Joe Pesci, I can't save you on this one. But I mean, it's not a bad performance. It was just kind of jarring, going from Goodfellas to Home Alone and vice versa. But nevertheless, that's neither here nor there. But so they're in New York as well. They actually broke out due to a prison riot. So they're out and about. So Kevin is, going around New York and stuff, pretending to be his dad and trying to pretty much tricking everyone. And they do some of the gags, like some of the Kevin is alone type of gags, such as him, going to the pool and stuff, and accidentally losing his trunks. And then Kevin does go to a toy store where he buys some stuff, but then reveals that. But then the cashier, or aka the store owner, who Kevin doesn't realize till later, reveals that all the proceeds will be donated to charity. Kevin puts an extra 20 towards the donating, for the children's fund. Meanwhile, the store owner gives him 2 turtle doves, tells him to give it to somebody, to give the turtle doves to someone, and they'll be friends forever. So that's what the turtle doves mean. I actually did not know that. And they do bring up in the movie how they heard it in the Christmas song and was wondering what it meant. I actually didn't know that was the origin of the turtle doves. So that's pretty cool, actually, that the movie does end up referencing that. But eventually he does run into the Wet Bandits outside the toy store. They sneak up behind him. At first, they realize that he's there. They see, especially with the name on Kevin's backpack. So they realize that he's there. So then they chase him through New York. Then, meanwhile, Kevin, they find out the card is stolen, and that kind of goes back to something that happens early in the movie. There is a interesting employee at the hotel who's trying to figure out why we never see Kevin's dad, including him pretty much committing breaking and entering. I don't know if it quite counts as breaking and entering because he does use the room key, trying to see if Kevin truly is alone. But Kevin does trick him, and pretty much with what he did last year to trick the Wet Bandits with the inflatable clown that he was given earlier in the movie. He used that as a stand up, and used, of course, the strings and wires and everything, as he did before, and used the voice clip he took of his Uncle Frank to scare off the concierge, as he was called. And apparently that's how he's credited here, as the concierge. So pretty much runs him off, but then they go after him, and then Kevin uses another trope that he used in the last movie. Are you starting to see a pattern here? He uses something else, I'll say, used in the last movie, that being the voice recording of the movie he's watching, and pretty much tricking the hotel staff who try to catch him. So he scares them off. Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. Well, and a Happy New Year to you. So, yeah. So they're scared off. Kevin does leave the hotel. And wants to now get out of New York. Or realizes, A, it's not quite all it's cracked up to be, and B, now he's got both the hotel staff and the sticky bandits on his tail. So Kevin does escape, tries to go to his Uncle Rob's house, but it's vacant due to it being renovated, so Kevin can't quite go in. And so he does go to Central Park, where he runs into the pigeon lady once again, and so and another thing that's carried over from the first movie, again, are you starting to notice a pattern here? Something else that's carried over from the first movie is him running into the pigeon lady. Initially, but her scaring him off by looking somewhat creepy, which, to be fair, it is supposed to be kind of mean-spirited, but at the same time, if you saw a random person, creepily staring at you, who flocked by pigeons, again, no pun intended, it would be slightly creepy, not gonna lie, but unless Kevin is scared off, but then eventually befriends her. They go to Carnegie Hall. Was like a music hall, or a concert venue, I should say. They talk and everything. It turns out the lady has trust issues due to people having left her previously, and so has essentially made friends with the pigeon. And so Kevin tells her to try to restore her trust in people, and she wonders why he's alone, and Kevin says he's done a lot of bad deeds, but the lady tells him that doing good deeds will erase the bad deeds. Kinda, sorta, not quite, but it's kind of tricky, admittedly, but there is a little bit of truth to that, but at the same time, depending on how bad the deed is, sometimes there's no coming back. Unfortunately, that's kind of just the reality of it. But nevertheless, Kevin leaves out after she tells him to do good deeds, he decides that he's going to prevent the toy store robbery. So, as I mentioned, the Sticky Bandits are going to rob the toy store. And Kevin does overhear them because, as Kevin's leaving the hotel, he is caught by the bandits, but does manage to escape from them. So he goes to thwart them, but also he does go into his Uncle Rob's vacant house, where he pretty much sets up traps. I think you know where this is going. Now comes the latter part of the movie, the slapstick part. So, pretty much just like the first movie, where the first part was kind of story and stuff going in, and then the next part is the slapstick, aka the home invasion, where Harry and Marv once again endure very grievous bodily harm, and stuff that probably should and could theoretically kill them, but nevertheless. And this time around, for the sequel, it's cranked up to the max. But they go in, try to rob the toy store. They rob it of all its money because the money's probably still going to be there because the toy store is going to be very busy and stuff on Christmas. So Harry and Marv are robbing it. Kevin and not only takes their pictures, but throws the brick through the window to set off the silent alarm to notify the police, and he runs back to his Uncle Rob's place. The bandits show up, and then the slapstick and stuff begins, and that includes the opening part where Kevin throws bricks at them, and by them I mean mostly Marv, or if he throws a couple at Harry, but Harry dodges them, and all of them hit Marv, and yeesh, some of it is very much wince-worthy, being hit in the face with, not quite the paint cans, but a metal bar. They avoid the paint cans this year, but get hit with the metal bar. Marv getting multiple staples, in his front side and back side. And I'm sure somewhere Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland just got a cold chill through their spine thinking about the staples. If you know, you know. And there's Harry being set on fire once again with a flamethrower. Harry, you gotta stop getting set ablaze with a flamethrower. And then trying to dunk his head in the toilet to put out the flame, but an explosion going off. Marv falling into a giant hole in the middle of the floor, and then getting a bunch of paint and liquids and stuff on him, trying to wash it off, but instead the sink is hooked up to a electric battery, or a voltage amp, something like that, and Marv shocks himself, leading to a skull being briefly visible, which it's yikes. It is funny, but at the same time, some of it is kind of wince-worthy. It was that in the first movie as well, but this time around, that's cranked up to the max. Like I said, they definitely go a lot harder with it this year in terms of the pure physicality and brutality of these things that Harry and Marv are enduring. They try to climb down, but Kevin douses their rope in kerosene and sets it ablaze. So Harry and Marv end up falling, and Kevin calls the police, tells them to watch for fireworks, then heads through Central Park, but man, slips on the ice, and that's how he's caught initially by the bandits. It's, that ice, it gets you every time. They're taken, but the pigeon lady then helps out. Kevin throws the bird seed onto Harry and Marv, and then they're swarmed by the pigeons and taken out there. Kevin sets off the fireworks, and the Sticky Bandits are caught. And then meanwhile, Kevin's family heads down to New York. They go from Florida to New York. They caught up with him, and they chew out the hotel staff for believing the lie from their son, and that his family was there with him and accepting the credit card and everything, which, yeah, that's a good point. They're chewed out, but they're given a room and everything. And then, meanwhile, Kevin's mom does go try to find her son, and runs into the police officer, the same police officer, or at least one of them, that arrested the Sticky Bandits. And she ends up finding him by the Rockefeller Christmas tree after the police asked her, like, where would your son be? Like, put yourself in your son's shoes, where would he be? And she remembers her Christmas tree and thinks of the biggest one in New York, that being the Rockefeller Christmas tree. So she goes up there and meets with Kevin, and Kevin's reunited with his family, and on Christmas morning, they get a bunch of presents and stuff from Mr. Duncan of Duncan's Toy Store, the person that Kevin helped out. But Kevin does go into the Central Park and hands one of the turtle doves to the pigeon lady, saying by them having a dove each, they would be friends forever. But Kevin is then called by his dad in a yelling tone because Kevin racked up $900 in room service. It's yikes, and the thing is, like, we don't really get room service often, like when we go to like hotels and stuff. Mostly because we do most of not everything ourselves and don't really have a need for it. Obviously, nothing against room service, just kind of my and my family's travel experience. But $900, yeesh. But yeah, so, and that is how the movie ends. So, pretty much plot summary, but now going into what I liked and what I disliked. So what I liked is a lot of like the running gags and stuff that made the first movie funny is carried over into this movie. Kevin once again showing his intellect for someone so young, showing a lot of that like street smarts and that resourcefulness that he showed quite a bit in the first movie, and that showed even more, especially now that he's alone in the big city. And theoretically going from just his house to now this big old city, being New York City, he gained to show a lot more of that craftiness and resourcefulness, and some of like the funny gags that were present in the first movie, such as the videotape or the standing statue like things. I don't know if I'm going to call them dummies, but like props, so stuff like that being carried over, and of course the slapstick with Harry and Marv going through grievous bodily harm, one of the best moments of that movie, and now being one of the best moments of this movie, and them turning it up as well. So that slapstick part, between that movie and the previous movie, I would probably give it to this movie, funnily enough, because it's like, with it being cranked up and with the injury being cranked up, like, some of it is pretty much wince-worthy. The first one is definitely funnier in a lot of regards, but the second one is funny, but also a lot like wince-worthy. And I guess your preference for it will depend on whether you like just like the laughs and stuff, or whether you also like the accompanied grievous physical bodily harm. And having some of the antics he gets up to with the hotel staff, including one of them, the concierge, being played by Tim Curry. That's pretty funny. Like Tim Curry, it's said Tim Curry has starred in a lot of one-star movies, but he was the reason why I got that 1 star. And this one is no different. Just like his creepy, weird, but funny antics is pretty funny. And him making friends with the pigeon lady, just like he did with the old man in the first movie. It was pretty nice and pretty cool, and it does show that message. And so I think that's done pretty well. And the new set piece of New York for Kevin to explore and everything, I think is a nice touch. In terms of what I didn't like, some of the retreading does kind of go into the I don't necessarily want to say repetitive, but it does feel like almost the first movie redone. Like, there is obviously stuff that's different from like a service level, but a lot of it is repeated, and it's repeated almost ad nauseum. He gets lost again, which, yeah, that's the point of the movie. And of course, there is the running gags, and that's the point of a running gag. It's supposed to be done continuously, but it seems like sometimes you can tell when it actually benefits the movie, or when they're just retreading stuff quite from the first movie and just bring it in there like, hey, this thing that was in the first movie, it's in this movie now. Like the movie, thankfully, it doesn't do that too much, but it does do that sometimes. Like Kevin, once again, making friends with somebody weird, or once again, having to be alone, his parents being neglectful, like probably the most neglectful parents of all time, probably next to Dora, parents, his McCallister parents, like him being left again, even with the precautions, him being left again. So some of that retread in territory, he does get a bit. Does fall a little bit flat, but it's nothing to like totally ruin the movie. It's not like the movie's bad because of it. And in fact, like I said, some of the running gags do work, but some of it, the territory is retread on. It's like we've seen this already, and that's how it sometimes is with sequels. Is that it has to carry over stuff from the first movie to connect the two, but it does fail to break that new ground to make the sequel stand out more. And that's one of the reasons why sequels sometimes aren't as good as the first movies. And it's unfortunate. Like I said, this sequel not quite abysmal. I wouldn't say it's abysmal or terrible or anything. Just kind of a little too familiar at times. And admittedly, that is kind of a delicate dance, having to tie into the first movie with stuff like, running gags or callbacks to the first movie, but also giving it an identity. But thankfully, I think this movie does it pretty well. And some people prefer this movie to the original. Between the two, I think overall I might have to go with the first one. Maybe it's because. Admittedly, this might be partially biased because I actually didn't watch Home Alone 2 until much later in life. Meanwhile, the first one I definitely grew up on. But I think this movie is still pretty good and pretty fun. Just I don't think it's quite as good as the first movie. But that's at least my opinion. But nevertheless, that is going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video, CTC, as soon as it drops. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on the movie and my review. Do you like the movie? Do you like my review of the movie? Let me know. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace. Also, real quick before I go, let me know which one do you prefer. Do you prefer the second Home Alone or the first one? But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.